The financial impacts of climate change on the global economy are driving regulators, investors, and businesses towards climate disclosures for greater transparency and risk management. In this segment, we will unpack IFRS S2, climate-related disclosure standards issued by the International Sustainability Standards Board, or ISSB. The ISSB's work includes 2 sustainability disclosure standards that are available for regional adoption. IFRS S1, which are general requirements for disclosure of sustainability-related financial information. S1 is important because it establishes key conceptual foundations and requirements for applying all ISSB standards. IFRS S2, which focuses specifically on disclosures of financially material information related to climate change. The IFRS Foundation considers information material if omitting, obscuring, or misstating that information could be reasonably expected to influence investor decisions. Let's now dive into the scope of disclosure requirements. S2 requires companies to disclose climate-related transition risks. This can include indicators like the percentage of revenue at risk or the concentration of credit exposure to carbon-related assets. S2 requires companies to disclose information on climate-related physical risks. This can include information about the proportion of real estate assets exposed to climate hazards, or the number of mortgage loans in a 100-year flood zone. Beyond the risks, S2 also requires disclosure around climate-related opportunities, such as revenues from products or services that support the transition to a low-carbon economy. S2 also requires disclosure about the current and anticipated effects of climate change on the company's business model and value chain. For example, investments in research and development of low-carbon products or in adaptation. Organizations reporting according to IFRS S2 must disclose qualitative and quantitative information regarding their governance practices and strategy to oversee and manage climate-related risks and opportunities. They also have to be transparent about the processes used to identify, assess, prioritize, and measure performance in relation to its climate-related risks and opportunities. Regulators in each market will have to determine how to use the ISSB standards. It will be up to each jurisdiction to determine whether IFRS S1 and S2 reporting remains voluntary or will be compulsory for companies. Policymakers who wish to require some type of reporting for companies will have to set the parameters of disclosure. Key components of the ISSB standards are already used by analysts and portfolio managers to improve their investment processes and by business leaders to guide their business operations, strategy, and reporting. The standards are also being used by investors in their engagement with companies. The standards are indeed a useful tool for investors, companies, and regulators. It remains to be seen how wide-ranging their adoption will be in the coming years.